Hey everyone, time for the weekly boost. And yes, that is snow behind me. So as you can tell in North Dakota, winter came early. Winter is here. I'm kind of hoping that thing's going to melt, but we'll see if it sticks around for the rest of the winter. But those Arizona folks, they're actually doing snow removal right now in the parking lot behind me. So if I'm not entertaining, at least you can follow along with what's happening behind me. So anyway, last week, apparently there was an election that happened. So number one, I hope that everyone had a chance to get out and vote. We know that is something within our organization that we want to make sure our employees are actively engaged in the community, and that also means voting in elections. And so I know they're predicting a red wave. Kind of seems like it's a little bit more of a red little ripple. I know right now the House, the majority is still undecided. I think the Republicans, it sounds like, are most likely going to take it. They're at about 212 seats. You need 218. But it is going to be a divided government, meaning the Democrats will keep control of the Senate. Right now it's at 50-49 with still one race to be decided in Georgia, but no matter what happens, it's not going to matter. Democrats will continue to keep control of the Senate. That being said, the year after midterms, we tend to see the highest equity returns in the market. And so typically a divided government, stocks will rally. And we saw that a little bit late last week. And it's mostly because of it limits the legislative, their ability to make, large monumental changes. It also limits the amount of uncertainty that the market might see. And so it essentially reins in both parties, and typically that has been good for the economy. So we'll see if that continues to hold true. A little bit more locally, my friend Michael Howe is the new North Dakota Secretary of State. And that's the first time that we've had a new Secretary of State since the 20th century. Al Jagger served 20 some years. And so it's fun to see that my buddy Michael Howe is our next North Dakota Secretary of State. And then also a couple ballot items that caught a lot of headlines in North Dakota. North Dakota rejected legalizing marijuana for the second time. Almost a little shocked. I thought this time around it actually would maybe pass. And then we also approved term limits, which was a little bit controversial because a lot of people thought it meant federal term limits, but really it didn't. It was just state term limits. But most likely we're going to see some challenges within the court system for that. So there's my quick election update. Flipping over to some fun news, FIBT was named a top 5 lending institute in the state of South Dakota. So South Dakota Housing has named FIBT as one of the top 5 lending institutions within the state. So congratulations to our Sioux Falls crew. They had 4 other banks, and I could name them 4 banks plus some independent mortgage brokers. But no matter what, after personally being in the Sioux Falls market a number of times, easily can see how there's a housing shortage, but still a very solid economy. And it's very fun to see that kind of volume continue to happen within our Sioux Falls team. So again, congrats to the Sioux Falls team. Smile Files. So it's been a little while since I've done some Smile Files. So I actually have 3 to catch up on. Number 1, this comes from Kevin Knurk at our Chandler office. And he had this to say: we recently had a yappy hour. And yes, I did say a yappy hour at the Chandler branch, which included puppies and no booze in an effort to help socialize some of the young puppies and provide a nice break from the daily banking stress. Kevin's wife, Jennifer, who is an Australian Labradoodle breeder, brought in a few puppies into the Chandler branch for their inaugural yappy hour, which really lasted about 15 minutes, but fun was had by all. More importantly, no messes to boot, but the puppies did open up some children deposit accounts, so there was a little bit of monkey business that was done as well. But anyway, I'm sure that was time well spent, and I bet everyone enjoyed seeing those little puppies running around the bank. I bet it was very cute. We'll have to get some photos of that out to everybody. Next, Jesse Erdman nominated Denise Larson at our Mina North Hill branch. She had this to say: a family recently stopped into our North Hill location to open up a checking account for the construction loan that they just closed. They had 4 young children with them, which, as you know, can be a little bit of a challenge, especially when the parents are occupied and trying to sign paperwork. Denise saw this, grabbed the family right away, showed the kids over to the play area. She also found some FIBT teddy bears as well as some souvenirs. And the parents were able to open up their account knowing that their kids are being taken care of. So again, great job to Denise. And I bet those parents had a much better experience knowing that they just made one of the largest, biggest purchases of their life. So very cool. Thank you, Denise. And Jesse, thank you for submitting that. And then the last one comes from Jim Dunkel at Fargo Southwest, and he had this to say. He had the pleasure of knowing my grandfather, my dad's dad, Leland, a little bit back in the day. And besides being a great community banker, a fine gentleman, and a great storyteller, Jim said this: I noticed that Leland would walk around the bank buildings and pick up any litter that may have been dropped. And whenever he sees something blowing around in the bank parking lot, he'll do his best to pick it up and think of a good man that left a strong legacy. Jim, this hits home for me because this is something that I witnessed my dad doing all the time. Even every time I go back to Watford City, this still happens to this day. I'll say personally, this is something that even when I'm walking into the bank, I try to do myself. So I think that legacy continues, and I'd encourage all of our employees to do the same. Just even recently, yesterday, we gave our kids a little treat, which was a Johnny Pop. And on the stick of the Johnny Pop, which is a frozen popsicle, on the label this weekend before I threw it away that Evelyn had, the comment on it, and all Johnny Pops have a little saying, and it said this: always leave a place better than you found it. And so, I just think those are words to live by. That should be the quote that I should end here with today. But again, always leave a place better than you found it. And I think that is just a great reminder to us all about helping leave that mark on our communities. But I will end it with a quote, and it goes like this: great leaders don't set out to be a leader. They set out to make a difference. It's never about the role. It's always about the goal. Have a great week, everyone.